Okay, let me just, full disclosure, we've been friends for a long time, so Cleo will laugh at me frequently. So, as you know, I'm Vera, and I am teaching here. Currently, I teach Introduction to Interpreting. Whenever I speak on a topic, which I am not a member of that community, I would like to have a co-presenter or someone here who is a member of that community, and that's why I asked Cleo to come. Cleo, did you want to say anything about yourself?
My name is Cleo Jackson. I'm DeafBlind. I hope you enjoy this application.
Thank you. I'll let you sit down. Okay. Off to the races. The reason why I thought that Cleo would be a great person for this event, one is because she is a consumer of tactile interpreting services. She also has, as she's mentioned to me, and she said it's okay if I share with you guys, on the spectrum of disabilities, it's not, people aren't always completely blind or completely deaf. A person can be hard of hearing and completely blind, or have low vision but not hear at all, be completely deaf. Cleo hears a lot. She likes for me to talk and sign at the same time, which is something we normally don't do when we're learning ASL. But in this instance, I would do that because it's what's most comfortable for her. You know what? I went all the way back there when I could have just did that. Okay, so Cleo has been asking me for a long time to attend an event called the DeafBlind Retreat. I finally got to go this past year. It's held every 2 years in Jacksonville, Illinois. It is a marvelous training. I think you pay $150, $120. It may be $75. I can't remember. But it's a small amount for 5 days of room and board, training, and hands-on experience working in deaf-blind communities. So when it does happen next year, look out for it. It's sponsored by the Chicago Lighthouse for the Blind. So that's where you're going to be looking to get information to go to this event. Even though I've been working in deaf-blind communities for a long time, I had never heard of ProTactile. Didn't know what that was or what it meant. So once I actually went there and they talked about it, I was like floored. And they said, tell everybody you know. The deaf-blind community wanted this to go to everyone. So that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. I thought it was going to be much more informal, but these guys, this little group here, they got their stuff together. And they got a nice crowd here, so that's good. All right, so when we talk about deaf-blind interpreting, the deaf-blind community, that is such a vast, vast discussion because there's a lot of information. We're going to be here an hour and a half. I'm only going to touch on one piece of that, which is ProTactile. And I'm only going to give you the surface of it because there's no way that I would ever presume to be able to teach you all that is encompassing ProTactile. But I think we're going to have enough to whet your appetite, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. Okay? Already, who gives a workshop but Vera? And before we even get started good, I'm going to get you guys up and moving. Right? Okay, so we're going to do an exercise already. It has something to do with ProTactile, but may not feel like it in the very beginning. I want everyone to choose a partner. Take a minute, look around, pick someone to be your partner. I think that's too easy. All right, everyone got a partner? Okay. Decide who's going to be person number 1 and person number 2. All of the 2s, follow me. 1, stay in the room. Okay, I want all of the number ones to line up in the back of the room in front of those tables. Are you a one? All of the number twos, stand in front of your number ones. Okay, number ones. You have a very easy task. Are you ready? In English, you do not have to sign. I want you to tell your number twos, how was your day today? How'd you get here? And what you plan to do when you graduate. Go for it. What do I work for Disney? Yeah. Okay. Next, I want you to tell them what year you are in school, what classes you're taking, and who your instructors are.
I am an engineer. Currently, I'm in language and translation.
All done? Come back to your seats. Okay, number twos, you can behave normally now.
I felt like I was being so mean.
Okay, I was gonna start with the number ones. Let's start with the number twos. Without telling what you were doing, how did that experience feel?
Really rude.
Okay.
I hated it. With the thing with my partner, like I knew he knew something was wrong, and he started feeling nervous.
Yes, of course. Okay, number twos, what did that experience feel like?
No, I mean, that was
That was number two, sorry, number ones.
awkward.
Awkward, yes, okay.
Really awkward.
Really awkward. And you were gonna say?
Just to, like, helpless, because you don't know how to, you don't know what the issue is.
You don't know what the issue is. There is an issue, but you don't know quite what it is. Who can, yes, oh, sorry.
Outside perspective. Alexa looked at me and she's like,
I know, look at me like speak, and I was just like.
Okay, thank you.
I felt I had to like try to correct the awkwardness, and in that I forgot completely like my day-to-day weekly schedule.
Oh,
Like, I couldn't even think.
Okay, so number one, what do you think was the issue? What was wrong? What was missing?
Communication gap, they weren't receiving what you were putting out.
They were or were not?
We're not.
Were not. Okay, you felt like they weren't receiving it.
Right.
Okay, number twos, did you feel you could receive the information that was being given to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. So give me some other issues that might have been present.
Well, there was no connection.
There was no connection. Okay, I won't keep you in the dark anymore. What you just experienced, and I'm so sorry you all had to experience it, happened to me. I have a friend years ago who was a communication major and psychology major. I guess she double majored, I don't know. And she called me on the phone one day, and it was the weirdest conversation we had ever had. This wasn't even in person, this was on the phone. And she hung up. Then she called back, and it was a little less weird. And then when she called back again, it was normal. And I said to her by the third call, you need to stop calling me and telling me what you're doing. Something weird is going on. What she was doing was, one second, withholding back channel. To talk about pro-tactile, we first have to talk about what back channeling is. the definitions I have for you here are just some that I just pulled off the internet. One's from, I think, dictionary.com, and the other's from another online dictionary. But these, when you look up back channeling, there are other definitions. We're looking for the one that has to do with linguistics. I'll give you a chance to read it. You guys okay over there? Good, okay. All good? Okay, so back channeling is something used by all people of all cultures and all languages. What it includes are the head nods. I love it when I see someone doing it. It includes the oh, really? If that is taken away from you, all of a sudden communication just falls apart. So what my friend, should I call my former friend? No, she's still my friend. What my friend was doing was, she was doing an exercise in her psychology class or communication class that had her test what it feels like and document what happens when back channeling isn't there. And you guys got to see that. And the reason I wanted you to see that was to see how important it is to have back channeling, whatever language you're using, especially ASL, and especially what we're going to find out in protactile. Okay? And that's all it was for. We can all be normal now. All right. So all of the number, okay, who went out in the hall?
Twos.
All of the number twos, please apologize to the number ones for me, so they know. All right, good. Now, let's talk about back channeling in different forms. In English, give me some examples of back channeling. Eye contact, yeah, that is a part of back channeling in English. If someone is talking to you and they're going, well, I want to tell, does it feel rude? It's like, look at
Even
me.
smiling.
Smiling is a very big part of it. A lot of it's nonverbal, a lot of it's gestural. Because I might touch someone on the, I love you, like touch them on the shoulder, on the leg, or I might hold someone on the shoulder. That's back channeling. Especially if someone's talking about something really sad or something that's really hard for them, it would be weird not to reach out and touch that person. That's nonverbal communication that we use. I had an experience where my husband and I twice, we went to Ghana in Africa. And I found that in other countries who have spoken languages, the back channeling sounds different. It took me quite a while because I'm having conversations and they were making sounds that I wasn't familiar with.
You were having conversations in English?
In English, right, sorry. I don't speak Twi, which is one of the languages there. So I was having conversations in English, and then it started to dawn on me, they don't use the group I was around. What they used was, I know. It's very interesting, and it took a while. And after I was there for a while, I would talk to people, and I would be going, I started using it. And in China, a friend of mine said she went there, and I don't know, she's deaf, so she didn't talk about auditory back channeling, but she talked about hand gestures, and she said that many of the women she signed with in China, and she's a Chinese American, they use this.
Oh.
And I do that when I'm like embarrassed. And so she said, they're doing it what you do. So everybody has their own gestures, their own ways of doing it within spoken languages. Now, in ASL, I know you guys know what back channeling looks like in ASL, right? Yes, somebody's doing it. Yeah. Let's take a look at a short video. We're only going to watch a little piece of it that is all about back channeling. And you'll get to see. Here's what I want you to do. When I show this video, I don't care what the content is. I don't care what they're talking about. You don't need to even focus on that. If you choose to, help yourself. What I want you to focus on and what I want you to give me examples of is the back channeling you see at ASL. So whoever is talking or signing, I want you to be watching the other person and watching what they do. See if there are more than just this and this, okay? And they're gonna go back and forth. Are we ready? Now, will Vera's thing work and I actually make this happen? That's a whole nother question. But I'm hoping. The first part, she's just going to tell you what that channeling is. Okay. What'd you see as back channeling? This one. Okay. What else? Good. Here's one. Okay. Back up so these interpreters can see me. Any more?
Lots of
Yeah.
Yes.
face.
The guy gave us a lot of face, and she just gave us two. One was, yep. Any more? Good one.
I notice I only do that when I'm signing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't make the face when I'm using English.
I'll bet you do, and you don't even know it. Mm-hmm.
I saw this.
Oh, I like that one. Yep. I saw a lot of neck action. Yeah. All a part of back channel. So, when we talk about back channeling as it relates now to people in deaf-blind communities, a lot of, I don't know if we, hold on a second, there we go, okay. Many people have tried to, or thought that pro-tactile has something to do with what these young ladies are doing here, which is called tactile interpreting. There is a vlog, and I want, the one I just had, I'll give you guys the title of that so that you can look at the whole thing later in the SL. And I'll also give you the title of the one I'm going to show in a few minutes. These two presenters, one is named Angelica, I got her first name. The other one is DeafBlind. They are the foremost ones who have talked a lot in the deaf community, deaf-blind community, about pro-tactile, what it is, why deaf-blind people use it. And so many of us in the interpreting realm have thought it had something to do with this. And they said, this is her quote, which I love, remember what tactile really means? It's touch. Pro-tactile really means that we value touch for the purpose of communication. So if two people who are deaf and blind are talking, and one person is holding the other person's hands while the other one is doing this, how can they see this? How can they see this? Did you get mom? That's not visible to a deafblind person. So how do they back channel? How do they show one another that they agree, that they feel sorry for something the person has said? How do they show empathy? How do they show anything? One way that they do that is demonstrated in this next video. Again, with this one, you can feel free to watch the conversation. They sign much slower, which is nice. The last group, they signed pretty fast. But I want you to, again, watch what the person who is not talking is saying and doing, okay? Ready? Okay. How did, oh, no, okay, I did. There it is. How did AJ and Jellica do back chat? One another on the way. Yes. Oh, and this, she did some of this. I've seen this. I've seen this. And when you're interpreting for a person who is deafblind, they often will do it. I need a person. I'll bother the interpreter. Do you mind coming up? You are my interpreter, so your hands are there. Gotta make sure everybody can see us. Everybody can see us? Okay. So introduce yourself. Did you feel that? So, as she was saying what her name was, she's spelling her name, to let her know that I was understanding, I did this. You will find that a lot when you're interpreting. And they're not just making music, they're actually telling you, I understand, you can move on, keep going. That's all, thank you. That wasn't so bad, right? So, deafblind people have some of those gestures that you see. There are a lot more, a whole lot more. See, just when I told her to sit down, I just thought of some more. I don't think of you, come up here.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Suppose he's driving, and I'm next to him. There you go, really drive. And I want to tell him that, I'm back here so she can see me, that what he just said was correct. I could do this. Yes? What else could I do? No. Suppose, you like that one. You're going to love this one. Suppose I thought it was really funny what he said. All right. Oh, did you see? She didn't see that one. Hold on. That's laughing. Okay.
That's cool.
And there's many, many, many more. And you can make up your own. If it's dark or whatever, I just want to, I can't like say it or whatever, the person's deaf, I can just do that. Say yes, so they know. Anywhere on this show or whatever. Not anywhere. This one deafblind guy who presented when I saw this, he said, pretty much it's the back or the arms or the legs but all of this area is, you gotta buy them dinner first. Okay, so,
Does the speed of the back, of the like leg tapping be like, is there a spectrum between, oh yeah, okay, and, oh, yes, that is really agree.
you caught that, that is freaking awesome, absolutely. When I'm excited and it's like, oh yeah, it would be much faster. But when it's just, oh yeah. So how, you can show intensity just with how fast or how slow you make the move. All righty, now, there's one more thing I want to talk about. And then we'll do exercise. I promise there's one more, because it can't be just one, right? Okay, for the next one, I'm going to talk about it first, and then Cleo is going to help me demo it. We've already talked about back channeling. We've already talked about pro-tactile. There is something else called back-back channeling. And the reason it's called back-back channeling within the DeafBlind community is it's often done on the person's back. For deafblind individuals, you have to tell them more than what is being said or what is being signed. You have to also tell them what is physically in the room, because they have no way of knowing that. They're relying on their interpreter to give them all of that information. It can be daunting and it can be very challenging. But with back-back channeling that deafblind people have created, it's pretty amazing. So, let me show you a couple. So I'm going to have Cleo and one interpreter come with her. All right, and I'm going to ask Cleo to turn around. All right, and the interpreter will be there. And now, Cleo, I'm going to use your back. Is that okay? All right. You had to say it. Okay, sorry. Okay, so, like I said, safe zone. Right? Right, Cleo? All right, so let's say I wanted to show Cleo what this room looks like. Okay? I have to draw a space of what the room is. Okay? So there, I've given her a canvas. Then I have to say what's in the room. There are chairs. So I would let the interpreter sign chairs, and then I would show where they are. Okay? And then I want to show what's in the front of the room, which is a board. And then I would say me here. She is next to me. Now, Cleo was supposed to correct me because I just made a mistake. She's laughing because she knows my mistake. Whenever you do this, you're supposed to identify where they are first. Your deafblind person first. Where am I? Then you identify other things in the room. Okay? I could even show, like, let's say a deafblind person is presenting, or not presenting, but often it's used for presenters. And I want to show that somebody has raised their hand. So I could point to the spot where I've set up this person. He raised his hand over there, and then do this. And then that deafblind person can call on you. Yes?
So what this would be used if there's two interpreters.
When it's deafblind interpreting, there's always two interpreters. Always. It's a lot of work. Yeah. And let's say I want to show that Virgil. That Virgil just got up and left the room. I would first point to where Virgil is, back room, and then I could say he walked right out of the room. Then I'd say Virgil came back. Okay? There's so much you can do with back channel. Now, I'm going to ask Cleo to turn around to the front. I'm going to ask the interpreter to stand in front of Cleo. Now, I could also use, guess what? I'm going to have to get another volunteer because for me to talk and use Cleo as a demo person, she'd have to let go of her interpreter, and I'm not gonna do that to her today. So thank you for letting me use your back, Cleo. I'm gonna use another person for the arm and hand, okay? All right, so I'll wait till you guys sit down first. So where a lot of this comes in handy, let's say you have a DeafBlind consumer and you're interpreting, and this person has to go to the bathroom. Common courtesy, you're gonna show up in the bathroom, right? But they've never been there. They don't know what it looks like in there. It can be a tricky place to be if you don't know where the sink and where the toilet is, right? So I need a volunteer from the back row. Okay, I was gonna, do you mind going second? I want the person who told me no first.
I didn't say that. I don't care.
You don't care? I thought you were shy. I just was, okay, I understand this as no in back channeling. All right, that's okay. So I could use her hand, turn her hand over this way, and I could show her what the bathroom's configuration is. So what's the first thing I have to do in her hand, like with the back? Show where she is. He's right though. It's the room and then where she is. So first I have to draw a square so they know it's a room. Then I have to show where she is. Let's just pretend she's in the bathroom at the door. The door of the bathroom is here and you are here. So I show her that. Then I will say over here, and then I'll sign, there we go, the mirror and sink. Wash your hands. And I'll turn my hand back over. And I'll say on this side, toilet. And then I'll turn my hand back over, very gently. And I'll say over here, paper towels. See, not so bad, huh? Right, all right, thank you. And will you come up? This same technique can be used for, let's say you're with a deafblind consumer and it's some kind of outdoor activity. We had, at the deafblind event, we had one retreat. There was a lot of outdoor activities where people were kicking balls, people were playing tennis, and there were other people on the other side to catch the balls and bring them back to the deafblind person. But the deafblind people, all of them, they wanted to know, how far did it go? So we had to find ways to describe how far the ball went. So, and I have your arm. I'm used to this portion of it, like from here to here. So, I'm gonna say, this is the park, okay? You are here. Your hand, the goal, the net is here. And woman, Sally, is right here. Sally has the ball. She just kicked it, and the ball went, woo! See how that goes? So I can show exactly how the ball went, how far the ball went, because then next, Billy kicked the ball. Woo! She knows it went way further than the end of the park. Or I could say, hello lady, her name is Mary, she kicked it really cute. And I can say, Mary did. Right? And all of that information is there. Thank you. All right. I've been talking a lot. Thoughts, questions? No? Yes?
My one question is, I've always heard tactile signing. Is pro-tactile a different style? Or is
Protactile,
it just a different way to say it?
if protactile, you mean,
I've just always heard it called tactile signing, using like the word pro-tactile is new, and I didn't know if this is a different style than tactile signing, or if it's just the
What?
same thing, just a different word.
I've never heard of tactile signing.
Okay.
I've heard of tactile interpreting.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, that is tactile interpreting. This stuff, that's protactile. So protactile is actually back channeling. It's the feedback that the deafblind persons or persons who can sign are giving each other in communication. And one more thing, under the umbrella of pro-tactile is back channeling and back channeling. So pro-tactile is this kind of big thing that really means the whole touching and communication, but back channeling is a part of that for, it's a technique that many interpreters who do tactile interpreting will use. So to further answer your question, yes, they are different, but they're all in the same realm of deafblindness. You're welcome. Any other questions? Who's ready to do some pro-tactile and back, oh, question?
Yeah,
Yes.
so when you were saying the example of Virgil going out of the room, how do you indicated where Virgil was sitting, but how do you indicate that it is indeed Virgil and not someone else?
I have to turn their hand over and sign Virgil. So with the back channeling and back channeling, you're still signing to the person, but you're using the hand as an anchor. Like, I give you information, now, this is where that is. Okay?
This sounds really explained.
Exactly, much like classifiers.
Is there a specific way that the hand is held to make sure, like, even just now, holding onto your hand, like, I would not have ever understood what was being said. So, yeah, that's my question. I don't know what I'm saying.
No, that's perfectly fine. That's an excellent question because every deafblind person is different. I have had people who, I love that I have to keep calling you up. I haven't had Virgil on yet. Come on up here, Virgil. I'm going to step way back so that the interpreters can see all of you. I have had people who are deafblind. Virgil, you're my interpreter. So you're actually signing. So Virgil will sign and tell me, hello, my name is. It's so hard. You're doing great. Thank you. All right. There are people who either they learned later in life, they weren't born deaf, they weren't born blind, and they had to learn how to read that information. Those people tend to go all over your hand, trying to feel and understand what you're saying. Some of them, they're struggling. Some of them, they're not struggling. That's just how they read the signs. I've also had people who do this. Go, Virgil. Tell me, hello, my name is Virgil. All they do is, it's a very light touch. They're just holding your hands and they can read from the way the hand is moving what you're saying. And then I've had what I call the super pros. One more time. You're left-handed, right? Right-handed? Okay, go. Nice to meet you. They're barely touching you and they're getting it like nothing. You may sit down. I had a deafblind client early in my years of working who did not know any sign language. She only read finger spells. Have you guys heard of the Rochester method? Yes, that's what she did. And I arrived to the job and I was like, and I was finger spell. I was like getting ready to finger spell. And I said, do you want it to be slower or faster? And her exact words were, as fast as you can spell it, I can catch it. And she could. She was correcting the English of all the hearing people in the room. I swear. So every deafblind person will receive the information differently. You and I, who don't have to receive information that way, it's very disconcerting, right? Because we don't do that very much. But when you have friends who are deafblind, you get used to them, how they're going to receive the information, and you learn how to turn your hands. But mostly, they do all the work. We just have to sign clearly. Any other questions?
So, and, I'm trying not to, I want to focus on you, but I can't help watching the interpreters.
I love that you're doing that. This is a perfect place to do that, and they're okay with it, right, interpreters? Yes. The one who wasn't working today.
And it's really, they're maybe adjusting height a little bit, like bringing signs down, but otherwise, I don't see them changing anything.
Exactly. Here's one thing I do. Whenever I interpret for persons who are deaf-blind, it can be very, very taxing on their backs to do this all day long. I sacrifice my back for them. There are other interpreters who say, don't have me do that. That's fine, that's fine. It all depends on how much I'm gonna do. A week ago, I did a convention, and it was a one-day thing, and I had 2 hours of interpreting. The person who I was doing the tactile for was watching 8 hours of interpreting. So I felt like, and I had a partner for my 2 hours, I felt that 1 hour where I could sacrifice for them, saved them an hour they didn't have to be in pain. So that no one's in pain, which never happens, but so that there's less pain. Because it's just physical, right? This is a physical thing. So that there is less pain, normally what we would have, and do you mind if I come and demonstrate on you two ladies? Okay, so what we normally have is, we'll put pillows back here, so that the person doesn't have to lean. But you'll notice, even though Rashida is moved up, she's not really leaning, she's just moved up. Sometimes people will interpret like this, that is much too much sacrifice on your back. You want to be up, sitting up as much as possible. You also want to be as close to the deaf-blind person so they're not reaching to talk to you. One of my friends who is deaf-blind, we call her Turtle because she loves to dig for turtles. She came up with it too. I'm talking about Jenny Hawkins. Okay, so she loves to dig for turtles, all that stuff. She's like one of those, she just does this and she gets everything. I swear she's amazing. But what was my point?
Not reaching?
Not reaching, okay. We have conferences that we go to that are sometimes 3 days. Her shoulder is dislocated by the end. I know. When I first heard it, I went, you're kidding me. Of course, I'll sacrifice anything so that she doesn't have to go home with a dislocated shoulder. But day after day, hour after hour, it can be very, very taxing on the body. So you want to usually have, I knew we were only going to do an hour, hour and a half. So you normally want to have some kind of pillow behind you, a pillow behind the deaf-blind person. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 to get you comfortably sitting up. And you don't want them, like you said, she went lower. You don't want them having to reach up high. So even if I'm going to sign heaven, I don't want that deaf person to have to do this every 5 minutes. So it's going to come down here instead of up there. And I'm going to sign it as close to their body as I can. That was perfect. Yes.
Who brings the pillows in?
Normally.
Just a fear.
They do, but every time I've gone, they did. But usually, when I'm doing deafblind interpreting, there's a ton of deafblind people. So whoever's coordinating the interpreting services, they usually bring the pillows. Sometimes the deafblind person brings their own. If you're going to go to a big event, then bring yours. So that's your backup. Leave it in your car, and if you need it, there it is. But usually it's people who coordinate the interpreting services. Anything else? Any other questions? All right, yes.
If you're signing something that is like close to your body, do you also like not put it all the way on your body? Like when you were doing my reading, sometimes your hand would leave during mine, and I wasn't sure if that is an indicator. I'm not sure if I understand. Do I need to sign it again with the hand?
Yes. What I usually do is, when I'm signing signs that are close to my body, I will still touch my body, but for that moment, I will lean forward. So if I said, see, it's hard to see when I'm not sitting, so no one sitting here? There's someone sitting here. Nobody answered.
No back. Not even.
Not even a little bit, right. Okay, so when I'm signing and I'm signing things that are close to my body, I move forward so that that person doesn't have to. So I would say, and then when I'm indicating where people are, like let's say I want to set up some classifiers, and I want to say that this guy and this guy walk to meet one another, I wouldn't do it where it's comfortable for me. I would do it where it's closer to their body. So I would say, that's the adjustment that I made so that they don't have to reach so much. Oh, thank you, you got me a chair. Oh, am I still on camera? Do I have to stand?
No, you're okay.
Okay. Yes. You know what, it's hard for me to see you. Do you
That's
mind
lovely.
adjusting, so I'm taking another chair?
Yeah,
so I
I'll
can-
sit
There
here.
you go, I can see you perfectly.
Is there a set time limit on how long you should be doing a segment of interpreting, just because of the physical part?
Yes. Every interpreter decides that for themselves, but generally, those of us who do deafblind interpreting, we don't do 20/20s. We do 10/10s or 15/15s. There's also something that the deafblind community has, yes, now she's gonna get one. This is perfect that she's doing this right now. In the deafblind community, there's a presentation or a workshop, and I'm gonna talk louder because Cleo can hear me a lot too. When you're doing that type of work or having a lot of people who are in that community, they have something called hands down. And in hands down, it's taking a break. I think they do it every hour, and nobody talks, nobody signs, nobody interprets. It gives the interpreters a break, it gives the deafblind consumers a break, and it gives everyone else in the room a break. And we should have did a hands down because Cleo took herself a hand down. So, that's one way that you get rest, the hands down, and you don't do 20/20, you may do 10/10, 15/15, if that much. There was one client, we did 5 minutes each. The client knew no sign language, had become deaf and blind kind of suddenly, and to get anything across was almost impossible. It took so much work and so much effort. And it was very tiring for the consumer also. So we switched every 10 minutes, and the lecture went on and on and on. But the pieces of information we could get in was very limited.
What did you do? How did you?
First, I asked the client happened to have their daughter present, and I said, "How do you communicate with your mom?" She screams. I couldn't do that at the conference. So we resorted to a couple of techniques. One was writing letters in the client's hand. Every word, writing the letter in the hand, and letting her think about it for a second till she got it. We decided she did know a little bit of the alphabet, so we could finger spell sometimes. Sometimes we did gesturing on our bodies so that she would know where the bathroom was, or where are we going now, or where the food is, things like that. This was like, I had never done that. I mean, I had done the finger spelling thing, but I had never done writing a letter. My name is B-E-R-A.
Because everyone writes differently, like, you know, I start my letter Z over here and you start there.
Did you know that the universally accepted writing style is block letters? So, if you ever have to write in someone's hand, even though you have a style of writing differently, use block letters, which is why I did mine like that. Yes.
I've been able to meet a few deafblind people, and when I was a kid, there was this older woman named Agnes, and she was born deaf and blind. It was pretty cool. But I remember, I'm sure it's not all the same for all people, but I just want to share it with her. It was really cool. She'd every time you'd approach her, she'd try to guess who you were. So she'd feel your face all over, and she'd comment on your hands and stuff. And it was just really cool experience.
Yes. There is a client who is deafblind that I've interpreted for many, many times. And many, many people in the community know the client. She is so much fun. She is so sweet. But some people would not be comfortable with the way she needs to identify you before you can start to work for her. And since it gets a little, it goes below the belt of where I told you you can touch and not touch, I will do it on myself. So, you walk in, and also she's mentally ill, so we take, us who work for mentally ill, deafblind people, we take all that into consideration, no big deal. So, you walk in, you say, hello, my name is Vera. Oh, woman, man, oh. And then she goes, oh, woman. And then she says, black. Or if it's long, like blonde, white. She truly is. It's not like she's she's trying to identify who is this in front of me. So, yeah, yes, I understand
She
that.
also like try to guess what color shirt you're wearing or something like that.
Oh, she'll guess at it.
Yeah, she tried.
She tried.
Yeah. She always guessed lipstick was red and stuff, because
Aw.
it usually was, but it was pretty cool.
That is fun.
Yeah.
Deaf-blind people are some of the funnest folks, and I know funnest is not a word, but I like it. They are, they're so much fun. When we finish, I had just like one more quick exercise I want you guys to do, and you get to sit, you don't have to go anywhere. I'm gonna give you some resources where you can learn more, talk to more people, get more, but I'll say, remind me to tell you what we did at one of the Lakota Club meetings. Fun stuff. Okay, so here's the last exercise I want you guys to do. You can pair up just with who's around you or grab somebody, you just need 2 people in twos, good, okay? I want you to practice on the other person's back or hand or arm, whichever the other person feels comfortable with. One person will do it, then the other person will do it. I want you to describe the room, what is in the room, what it looks like on that person. Describe the nearest, any bathroom that you can remember, and how you would show on their hand where everything is. And lastly, describe your living room. If you don't have a living room, bedroom, whatever. Pick a room in your house. Got it? Go for it. Yes.
Interesting thing about bathrooms,
So-
they're not always
This
unisex,
room,
right?
this room, your eye,
So it could be someone who's the opposite
So,
sex.
and then,
You have to go into or their bathroom and make sure no one's in there. Take a look, and then describe to that man what I got reamed at the deafblind retreat because I thought it was the same as the bathroom I had already described. And the guy came out and went, I almost pissed in the shower, woman. I'm sorry. So,
do we ever, and we're, like, if I'm on her back, then I need to sign in her hand and then?
yes.
Oh.
Yes.
What's the easiest?
But you can talk, for this purpose, I
Oh.
really want you to practice
Okay.
on this, so you can talk. You don't have to sign it.
Cool, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
so,
so yeah, even when it's, if it's like a men's bathroom and it's not an individual one, it's unisex you can go in. If it's not, then you, I wouldn't say go in here, absolutely. You find a guy. Could you like tell me what's in there? Or he'll, most of the time the deaf guy just figure it out that way. He'll figure it out on his own or get someone else to help out, but you don't have to go into a men's bathroom. Unisex, yes. Because I don't want you to leave. Vera told me I have to go check the men's room out.
Alright, so this room, bathroom, and
Any room in your house.
Yes.
the deafblind inside. Okay. Wait.
I think I need to close my eyes.
Great ass.
It is interesting.
And then, here's the door.
I know I don't want to cut this line.
That's how I do it.
Yeah.
Do you want to do them in that?
Yeah, I was here. You're here. Oh, yeah, that's right. So,
I'm also
so the door is turn left, and then left.
That's why I said this.
So here, and then, so now you're here, and here's the door, and then you have to go upstairs, and here's your coaching outfit. Right? Yeah, I forgot my leg. And then there's, this here, this is the door, and here's the seat. You want to this here. Okay, and so, here is my apartment studio, so everything is in one place, okay?
So if you two
door.
type those out.
Google it in YouTube.
Just Google it.
Right up the door to
It's
kitchen,
totally
you
a
can
bird.
keep walking
Bird.
upstairs, is my bed.
Does it make so much sense?
My closet.
That's crazy.
And
This would
keep
be
walk,
It makes sense outside.
You walk in the door.
Yeah.
It makes sense. They have straight windows. Here's your kitchen.
So I'll explain to you,
But here's our
my
living room.
room as a
There's
child.
a couch here,
Okay.
then a chair is down,
I must
then
have-
then in front of the one chair there is a desk. And this is
Thank you, I'm so lovely. Or whichever you prefer. I think so, it's more, okay. So now you have to, now you need to do different ways. Okay. Oh, yes, okay. Right here.
What's that? What? Oh, door?
This way. Oh.
Ah. Only photo.
Here is a
Okay.
wall. Here, oh, is a table,
Yes.
has, yeah,
Okay.
chairs. Your chair,
Window.
this has a board right here. Right here is a table.
No one minds that they're all in this lovely photo.
Here is a door right there.
So we'll be able to explain it.
You wanna go to the
Wait,
bathroom?
no, maybe.
Yeah, I'll keep going so she
You
can.
are gonna walk to the door. You're gonna make a left earlier today, in the house coming down.
You still have coffee?
Yeah. In the bathroom.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, no, I saw that. So it's the meds that keep saying.
They make you go on.
They do like that. No, it's now. It's the bathroom. Almost done. Here, what was the? How's the water? Here, it's good. Paper towels. Here, come here. Experience. Yes. What do you need?
So this is my bedroom.
Oh.
Here is the door.
Here. Small closet, small.
I always wanted to It's like saying,
I would say yes. That is hilarious.
yeah, you probably.
Yeah, most foods I tend to figure stuff,
Yeah.
besides like strawberry and pineapple.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Weird.
That's what I learned, yeah. And I do it 'cause it's
You
fun.
do strawberry and okay. I always learned strawberry like this.
Oh,
And when I came here, nobody like did strawberry like that, so I had to like change it.
oh yeah, where'd you do that?
Back in Delaware.
Oh, okay.
They also do text like that. Like,
Oh, like, yeah.
it's easier than like this.
Yeah. And like olives. To take this is a workshop on math. Like I said,
Or what about get your french fries off that F9?
I think this one's good.
Okay, that was kind of tricky.
Yeah, just say bye.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah, that was it, yeah, I mean, yeah, what was it, like a minimum of,
Okay.
yeah.
Are we pretty much done? Okay, what was that like? Tell me about it.
Intense.
Intense. Right. What were the challenges of doing that?
Tickles.
It tickles. Okay, Cleo.
Well, she had
She
plenty.
did have a good point.
So if I set up this room and the bathroom, and then how to convey like, now we're at the bathroom. So now I'm gonna move this, now I'm gonna set up a new space, but conveying that we're at, that's like, because it would be in the corner of your back, but now I'm gonna start again. So how to convey that that's still the same space.
You can erase. The room. Like seriously, just like that. Or new space. That's one way. But if you want to show this room in relationship to another room, you still need a clean slate. And then you could draw your back, then you could draw your canvas, and then you could say, this room is here. Other room here. So you're gonna walk down to there. Now we got that established, erase. The other room, well, the other room, you point there, then you erase. Now we're drawing the other one. And the key is, whatever you draw, describe to the person or interpret, sign or interpret to the person what it is you're about to draw on their back. If it's the bathroom, if it's the living room, if it's whatever. And you can do whole cities. I mean, you could do Sears Tower, right there. John Hancock, over there. The lake, all around there. It could be big spaces or small spaces.
Yeah, that was my question, how to do something that isn't in a box.
Yes.
Like a water fountain.
This is only telling the person, I'm about to place something in there.
Oh,
You could-
it's not the outline, like if it was a circular room, I would still make a square?
No, if it's a circular room, you can make a circle.
Okay.
If it's not really a room, it's a park, I could make the square because that's my frame of I'm about to tell you something. And then I could go, the lake is over here, they have a bunch of trees over there, and I'm doing clumps of stuff, just clumps. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the nice thing about it, it can always be erased, so you could do it again. There's no rules, there's no real rules. The only rule is identifying where the person is and location to whatever you draw.
It seems like that gives a better, you get a better sense of direction rather than just point, like, there's trees over there, and pointing,
Yes.
and, you know, how far, and you get a more, like,
From this
relation.
angle, there's a desk. You know?
I was told at that workshop, pointing is so not okay, because it tells them nothing. They say, you are telling me nothing. All I have is blackness, nothing, so it doesn't help. Yes.
Would pointing be helpful if it was like a very short distance, like go that way, like if you describe beforehand?
Possibly, possibly not. Generally because when you're pointing, often we forget there's obstacles in the way. So we could have them tumbling over chairs, trying to get to that really short spot, or someone's purse in the middle of the room, or whatever. So we, generally, if you have to, and that's all you have, go for it. But it's not the best way.
We just stumbled upon that because she was describing the bathroom on the 4th floor on this floor, and I completely forgot that there were stairs.
There are stairs, yeah.
That there's 2 doors and there's stairs.
And I forgot there was a second door, so.
Yeah. All those little details,
Yeah.
it makes you like think about. We become so much more visually inclined when we do deafblind interpreting or hang out with deafblind people, because it forces you, because we can see, now, how do I picture that so that I can put that on a canvas for this deafblind person? But that also helps you to be able to picture things when you have to interpret them into ASL. Okay, go, please.
Well, I was just gonna ask, since we have Cleo here, I was wondering if we could ask her, like, what is her preference with an interpreter?
Okay. So, Cleo, we got questions for you. Let's start again. What's the question?
Where do you like an interpreter to position? I mean, I can see the interpreter, what the interpreter is doing now, and what is your preference, you know, having pillows, sitting down, where the signing space? Sure.
It
Yeah.
depends. It depends.
Mhm.
Yeah, it depends. Do you normally use pillows when you have interpreters working for you, Cleo?
Again,
Normally, do you use pillows for your back when you have interpreters working for you?
like what?
Like a big, soft, cushy pillow placed back here? No, you do not.
Only if my back is hurting.
Yes. A lot of deafblind people will just receive the information, but if they get a little stiff, they will get a pillow and ask for a pillow for the back to see if someone has one. What else do you do when you have pain or you get tired, Cleo? She says, I have someone massage my back and that keeps me awake. Not many people have that, but we have some friends who will do that for our, because we're friends, so we do that for one another. We have this big conference going on, and there's one or two people who are massage therapists, and they go behind each deafblind person and give them a little massage. Sometimes what I'll see Cleo doing is she'll get up and take a walk like she did, just to like, okay, too much information coming in, I just need a brain break. She'll get up and take a walk. Sometimes she'll ask her interpreter to stand and interpret. That way she keeps more alert and doesn't get as tired and sleepy. Correct? Yeah, okay. All right, any other questions for Cleo?
Oh, wait, I have one more.
Go ahead.
What, is there something that you hate that interpreters
Yeah.
do? It's really annoying.
Say it again?
Is there something you hate when interpreters do this? Something that annoys you? You don't have to answer, it's okay.
She has decided to spare interpreters today. She's not gonna tell us what she hates, but I promise you, she'll tell me, and I'll tell you. Some things that I know that deaf-blind people have told me they hate is when interpreters move things around. Because when you're trying to get set up, or, like, we have a great space here, it's a lot of room, but a lot of presentations, they don't have space set up for where two interpreters are gonna be, two more interpreters and a blind person and the presenter. So they don't have it. So you're squeezing around and trying to get things set up, and someone comes up to you and say, I need all of you to move to that side of the room. A lot of times the interpreters will grab the deaf-blind person's stuff and go to the other side of the room. And then when the deaf-blind person is ready to get up and walk, they don't know where their cane is, they don't know where their purse is, they don't know where their water is, and that infuriates them. So often, I never ever move a deaf-blind person's stuff. And if it's an emergency and I have to, I tell them so that they know. And when I get in a safe place, I give it to them and let them decide where they're gonna put it. I'm trying to think what other things that people told me that they hate. Some deaf-blind people have told me they don't like it when the interpreter moves their hand. They wanna move their hand themselves. Because sometimes, like when you're doing mine, I might grab with this finger that person's hand so that they can come close to me, because they don't know I'm about to do the sign. Some deaf-blind people tell me they don't like that. I'm trying to think of other stuff. There's a lot. I just can't remember them now. So.
What about, because everybody needs a break, and we saw earlier, like either hands down for the interpreter or hands down for the client. Everybody needs to take a sip of water or take their jacket off if they get hot. How is that indicated?
It's usually guided by the presenter. For example, whenever I saw the interpreter switching, especially since I saw this one interpreter has a boot, I tried to wait till I talk again before the other one got in place. So she gets up, she stops. I'm gonna try and wait so that this next interpreter has time to get in the chair. I did the same with these interpreters. And the other thing I do, and good presenters do this often. Another thing I tried to do was, whenever I saw that a question was asked to Cleo, or I was asking her a question, I waited till the interpreter finished before I tried to get the answer. Because a lot of times we're on a different flow. And then we look over, oh, the interpreter is not there yet. So we have to make sure we give consideration to that. And as a presenter or as a participant, anyone can say, I need a break. And you just tell them, I'm gonna take 5 minutes, just give me 5 minutes. And the hands down, everybody takes a break for that particular technique. It is agreed by everybody in the group that no one is gonna say anything so that everyone can get a break.
Right, because sometimes even if I'm interested, I'll zone out. Like I take myself a minute to have processing time and zone out.
Because that's normal, right?
That's right, yeah.
But if a presenter or if the group, all the participants are, I can't talk today, you guys, see? If all the participants agree, you can decide to zone out together in unison. Okay, we're back. It really helps the brain, because our brains, when we're taking in information, it can be very tiring, right? Any other questions? Yes.
I just wanna know how deafblind people go about learning how to,
Do tactile interpreting?
right,
Okay.
how to
read it.
understand, yeah. So that if I'm aware of that, I feel like I would be a better interpreter for it.
Let me see if that's something that Cleo can answer for us. I'm not sure that a lot of deafblind people can tell you how, but some people can. So let's go ahead and ask her. Cleo, how do you think a deafblind person learns how to read tactile signing or interpreting? How do you learn it?
Well, explain that a different way.
Okay. Was it easy for you to learn how to understand someone signing in your hands? No. So how did you get to learn it? Because now you know how to understand.
When I decided to, at the time in business I was, first I was using closer sign. It's getting harder for me to see that my business was changing. It was getting worse and worse. So I decided to put my hand under they begin to sign. No, on time.
So, no, you're doing beautiful. I knew that, but I wanted you to tell them that yourself. So it's something that took practice, huh?
Yeah, I had to practice to get good, yeah.
Thank you, Cleo.
You're welcome.
So Cleo described the progression of becoming deafblind. Many people aren't born, like your friend was born deaf and blind, many people aren't. So this whole learning how to read tactile interpreting, it just takes practice. You can actually do that with friends of yours. Someone who knows sign language, you can have them sign and just, you try to read what they're saying. And it'll show you how hard it is. and then you'll start to like get stuff and start understanding. So a lot of people, what happens is, as their vision is getting worse, they will have the interpreter come closer and closer and closer and closer. I've seen people use what's called tracking. So I'm not really touching the person's hands, I'm holding their wrists. And I am controlling how far they can move their hands within a space, because I'm not holding their wrist, but I'm holding onto it. And it helps the deafblind person see where the signs are going before they're completely blind. And generally, they go from tracking to full out touching the hand. So it's a process, and over time, they learn it, but it takes years for most people, years. When I went to the deafblind retreat, all of us who were sighted, and some of us were deaf, some of us were hearing. The first day of training, I think maybe 2 hours in, I don't even think it was that long, but however long we had to do it was frightening. They blindfold you, and you have to be led around, and for your entire lunch period. I think we were like blindfolded for like an hour, I don't know, it felt like a day. But someone guided us upstairs, downstairs, all over the building, to our food. We had to figure out how to eat and not see. It was not pretty. Don't eat peas. You can't stab them, you can't find them with a fork and with a spoon, they just fall right off. I learned that. Don't eat peas if you I ended up resorting to just eating with my fingers, because it was just too hard to maneuver a fork into my mouth with the food, and getting it was so frightening. But a lot of people who are deafblind said theirs doesn't happen that way, so it's not as frightening. It's not one day you can see, and the next day you're blind. Oh, and we had to wear earplugs too, so we're deaf and blind. So that's something you can do. Put some earplugs in, put on a scarf so you can be blind, and just follow someone signing. Yes?
You said you've had 30 years of experience with tactile interpreting.
Yes.
Is there other certifications for this specifically, or is this just a skill you can add on to your list?
It's a skill you can add onto your list as an interpreter, but there is no certificate in deafblind interpreting. But deafblind people, like many other deaf people, are becoming very sophisticated now. They want to know who's in the group of those who know how to do this work. So you want to start volunteering in that community. And the more you volunteer, the more you get used to how to do it and learn deafblind people, and the more work you'll get in the future.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Welcome. And speaking of volunteering, some places that you can do that. Who has heard of Chicago Lighthouse for the Blind? Yes, everybody. They have a group called Lakota. When I was in the program here, I did some of my event hours there, and I tell you, what is that dance we used to do? Not the Macarena, was it Macarena? You know guys on the Macarena. Yes, that, Macarena. And there was another one that was a line dance. What was that?
The electric slide?
Thank you. The electric, not the Cupid shuffle, that's too new.
Okay,
Electric
thought
slide. I had to teach deafblind people how to do the electric slide. There was a lot of leg touching. How, I don't know, we did it there. They were pretty gifted. They had a lot of musicality. So that's one thing. Lakota, it's L-E-C-O-B-D-A. They have monthly meetings, like just ASL Club does. They have monthly meetings, and anyone's welcome to come, but you have to contact Lighthouse for the Blind to find out when they are. Another thing is the Deafblind Retreat. That's a 5-day thing. It's a longer commitment, but if you are interested in doing this work at all, you better get there, because it would be, you'll be dead now when you're done, because I was exhausted. But you learn so much, so much. And lastly, I wanted to give you guys this. There are people who actually teach this, and they're the people I learned it from. And they have a 3-part series workshop that they're teaching around the Chicago area. One is already done, it was October 11th, but there are 2 more. So I'm gonna I'll just pass this around. Take one, and those are the other workshops that are going to be offered. If you can go, I say go for it, because you will learn so much. These 2 videos, the one is called, if you Google ASL Resource Back Channeling, you can watch this whole video. And for Angelica, not Angelica, Jillico and AJ, they have 4 vlogs on ProTactile alone. And they are telling you all about it. And if you were in any way unsure of what they're signing, they have a transcript of what's being signed right there. So I think the way I got this one was I went to YouTube and I searched ProTactile. I looked at them because I couldn't think of the word. I was like, you know, Google and YouTube, what is it called? And one of the interpreters went, search. So yeah, Google has ruined me. I don't Google anymore. I mean, I don't search anymore. Just Google. That's the word for search. All right, any last questions? Thank you guys for coming. I really enjoyed it. Let me see if Cleo has any last things. Did you have any last things you want to say, Cleo?
Yeah,
What?
one more thing. Some of you are interpreters. You need to practice how to keep your hands comfortable. For example, so my interpreter signed really hard. You need to keep your hands relaxed and comfortable.
Thank you, Cleo. Right. So sometimes when we're nervous, we're signing a little our normal style might be to sign I'm fast, I sign pretty fast and I move fast. When you're doing deafblind interpreting, you want to slow it down, you want to make it softer, because every movement you're making is jerking on them. Thank you for adding that, Cleo. Anything else?
Sometimes interpreting can be fast, but we have to slow down. This deafblind person different. A deafblind person will tell you to slow down, not out in the box, whatever they want, in a certain way.
Awesome. Anything else? That's it. For now. All right, thank you guys. Great job.
Thank you, Vera. Thank you, Cleo.